All right. Hey, Alan, I just saw your comments, so not a problem at all. Um, no, right on time. Perfect. So, first of all, welcome to Monday, the 7th of June for Carter's Corner Daily. The music was actually gracefully allowed us to be made by Alan McGregor, aka Washroom Studios. So, thank you very much. Um, I'm pretty sure that song was called Careless Heart. Alan, I'll get you to confirm that for me in the chat. Don't mind. What I might actually do, I did put a SoundCloud link description, but I don't know if it came through properly. So if you did like the music, soundcloud.com/Master McGregor/tracks will give you his entire playlist. So make sure you go check it out. He's a local guy from Perth. Really, really awesome music. He does get political in some of his songs, so Facebook, YouTube, and all those sorts of things silence him. But I can tell you now, he's not someone that's easy to silence. So yeah, I actually quite enjoy his music. I'm normally into my like dance music and stuff like that. I get into my really commercial stuff as well. Please don't hate me. But I actually really enjoy his music. I find it quite entertaining. Anyway, here's Alan. Awesome. Yeah, Careless Heart. So he's just confirmed it. Thank you very much for that. So the real reason we're here today is obviously Carter's Corner Daily. I found a new thing. So if you are listening and you want to chuck a few comments in, they will come up on the stream. So that's awesome. It only took me like 6 weeks to work out how to do that, because I'm so pro at this. So let's jump straight into it. Because there's been a few over the weekend, which I find quite entertaining. What I would like to see is, for those who've been listening for a while, you'll probably notice that a vast majority of these press releases are heavily weighted to Labor. I find it amazing. All these press releases are actually coming from Parliament House. They're not coming from Labor, they're coming from Parliament House. So even before the election, when I was doing this, a vast majority of the press releases came from Labor. Now, that could be a thing that Labor's actually in authority, they were in government, so that way. But I'm kind of surprised that the opposition don't get a chance to put their own press releases out as well. So that's one thing I'm trying to get to the bottom of, to find out why. But obviously, I don't think people like me, to be honest. I don't know why. But anyway, let's get into it. So this one came out on Saturday. It came out at 6 a.m. So very, very early morning. Okay. Children's Hospice closer to reality to help WA kids and families. Now, my understanding, a hospice is like a hospital, but for terminal ill people. So I think giving, especially if they're kids that are terminally ill, that's terrible. I think that they should be given all the help that they need, regardless of the expense. There's a few things that personally I believe that there shouldn't be a budget for. Things like health, education, there just shouldn't be a budget. If you need the money, you get it. As simple as that. Obviously, you do uh, efficiency studies to make sure that the money's not being abused, but health, education, anything that promotes the future of Australia, there shouldn't be a budget on it. Just do what's needed and move on. All right, so let's get into this. So, McGowan government continued support for WA's first children hospice. I find it amazing that we're in 2021 and we're finally getting a hospice. Additional contribution locked in for planning on top of ongoing operational funding. Construction is expected to achieve practical completion by late 2023. 7 beds, 3 family accommodation sites, suite hospice anticipated to open in 2024. 7 bed. I'll be honest, my knowledge in this side of things isn't very high, but 7 beds for a kid's hospice. When I was in the first children's hospital when my daughter burnt herself, the amount of people that were coming in and out, and the nurse was saying that there's quite a few things happen where the children don't survive, unfortunately. To say that there's 7 beds for a hospice, that just seems really, really low, like stupid low. I thought that'd be a much greater need, considering we've got 2.7 million people in WA. But let's read on and find out what's going on. Okay, Western Australia's landmark Children Hospice is another step closer to improving the state's capacity to provide holistic and compassionate care to WA children living with a life-limiting condition. That's a nice way to say terminal. Life-limiting condition and their families. In a first of the state, a hospice will provide palliative, out-of-home respite care and support for children in Western Australia. I find it amazing the amount of money we spend on the hospital system that we don't have a hospice like for children. How did we go this long without one? The McGowan government is investing an additional 3.2 million for project planning and designed to finalise the deal for the project. Additional funding boost will also go towards current palliative services provided through Children and Adolescent Health Services, so it is able to provide the clinical planning required to build the hospice and is geared up and ready for when the hospice is in operation. The Children and Adolescent Health Services has entered into a partnership with the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation to build West Australia's first children's hospice. The foundation will provide funding for the construction, fit out, and ongoing operational costs of the hospice, while the Children and Adolescent Health Services are responsible for governance, management, ongoing operational, clinical, and support service funding. The estimated total cost of the hospice is $25 million, which is reasonable, and so far the foundation has secured $5 million from other sources with significant funding proposal currently out in the market. Okay, so if I'm reading this right, there's $25 million for 7 beds. Yeah, 25 million. See, the biggest problem is because it is end of life care, so I'm not sure the amount of medical equipment that these beds are going to require. I'm guessing are going to be quite substantial. Yeah, I'm just not sure. Does that, for the people listening, does that sound excessive? I don't mind spending the money where it's needed, but 25 million for 7 beds, that's a lot. The hospice will have 7 beds and 3 family accommodation suites for families to stay on site, which will be particularly important for regional families. The hospice will provide outreach support and bereavement care to children and families across WA. It will also incorporate shared family and playrooms, hydrotherapy pool and therapy rooms, and a community garden adjacent to the facilities. It's currently anticipated that the hospice will achieve practical completion linked to 23 and open in 4. Sadly, until the hospice is constructed and open, families who do not want their child to die at home can only be supported in hospital, and admission to hospital is required for symptom management. Admission to hospital is required for symptom. In Western Australia, it is estimated that approximately 2,000 children and their families living with life-limiting illnesses. Okay, so here we go. So 7 beds for 2,000 children. I just find that's band-aid. It's not a solution. I like that they're actually finally doing something, but it's not enough. Yeah, 7 beds for 2,000 children. That's really bad. Because you got to think 2,000 children. There's probably mum and dad and all those families, potentially other children as well. So you're looking anywhere between 6 to maybe 10,000, 6 to 10,000 people, depending on how big the families are. Yeah, that's just nowhere near enough. I'm sorry, Labor, failed again. Globally and in Australian states, children's hospice are well-established alternatives to in-hospital care to meet the needs of these children. The design of the hospice will be modelled on learnings from other Australian and hospice, which make a home-like environment with a warm and welcoming atmosphere. It will be built on Crown land at the former Swanbourne Bowling Club on Arden Crescent in Swanbourne. Natural sustainable principles will be applied to the building to ensure an abundance of natural light which provide a sense of connection with nature and outdoor spaces. Establishments of a children's hospice in West Australia delivers on a key recommendation in the WA Sustainable Health Review, which is a McGowan government election. Is that a 2017 election or a 2021? Interesting. It builds upon an existing pediatric model for care and optimal care pathways and aligns with national and state strategies and framework. So I still think this isn't enough. I'd love to see more being done for kids out at the end of life. Okay, comments from Mark McGowan. Treatment and care at the moment is a choice between hospital or at home. I know Perth Children's Hospital Foundation will build an incredible facility that the government's Children and Adolescent Health Service will be proud to run. The landmark hospice will ensure the specialist palliative care needed for all children across West Australia are met. I want to congratulate the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation on their progress with this project. I know they have wanted me to say they can't. I know they would want me to say they can't do it alone, and this is where the generous support of the Western Australians come in. The build will take shape at the preferred site in Swanbourne, which is something my government has long supported. So if they long supported it, why didn't they get it done earlier? Okay, from Roger Cook, Health Minister. Yeah, I still think he should resign. Specialist palliative care, pediatric palliative care is known to improve the quality of life for a child with a life-limiting condition, their family and carers from the time of diagnosis and over the course of the illness. It should be available and accessible and aligns with the values, diversities, and wishes of the children, their family, and carers. This partnership between the Child and Adolescent Health Services and Perth Children's Hospital Foundation will mean WA will have its first dedicated children's hospice. However, this cannot be done without generosity and support of the West Australians. Again, why? Okay, so the West Australian government is over 200 years old. 200 years old. Fair enough, in probably the first century of that, there's been heaps of conflict and problems and whatnot, and the population just didn't need it. But now there's 2,000 children at the moment, as per this press release, that have life limiting, and we're finally getting now children's hospice. That's disgusting. How long has Roger Cook been in this position? This should have been done decades ago. It should have a hospice should be built automatically into a children's hospital, so that they've got designated ward to deal with these, because it's not just the children that will have massive problems going. Obviously, they're about to die, but the mental side of things, the fear they must be feeling, all this sort of stuff. What about the parents, the brothers and sisters of these children that are best off? Like, how? To me, this just says the government's been abandoning them for so long, and finally, a lot of people have stood up, said no, enough's enough. And they've forced the government into doing something. And rather than just going, yep, we've listened, we've done it, they're going, oh, we've been working on this for a long time. What a crock of shit. Sorry. I didn't think this one would piss me off as much as it has, but it really has. Wow. Okay. That just leads more weight to my theory that the health minister needs. He's just failing multiple times. He's inactive. He doesn't take decisive steps to get things done. Have a look at that Ashiwa, the child that died before. Like, why did it take 8 weeks to get an inquiry into a preventable death of a child? That should have been right. There's a child, it died, it could have been prevented. Don't know. Immediate investigation. It doesn't take 8 weeks to make that decision. He's only done it because the nurses decided to have a massive protest, kick up a stink, and then they come swanning in and go, "Oh, look at us, we don't do what you said, so vote for us at the next election." Like, they're already in campaigning mode. It's disgusting. Sorry, I just can't stand it. Okay, so moving on, we've got the Honourable David Templeman, MLA, Minister for Cultural and the Arts. So 2 out of 2 for Labor. Interesting. And no comment from the opposition. WA Museum CEO wins prestigious Art and Culture Award. Alec Coles, OBE, named Western Australian of the Year for Arts and Culture. Stunning new WA Museum, Balua Bardip, breaking visitations record. That's because we've got nothing else we can do because all the borders are shut. I think this might be just another fluff advertising. That's one thing I've noticed from Parliament House. A lot of these press releases are just fluff. They seem to be infomercials for, look at me, So great. Now, why would the arts and culture have Australian of the Year for a CEO of a? Let's find out if he actually truly deserves it. So, West Australian Museum Chief Executive Officer Alex Cole, OBE, has been named the 2021 Arts and Cultural Western Australian of the Year. Uh, Culture and the Arts Minister David Templeton congratulated Mr. Coles on his outstanding achievement in leading the development of the new $400 million government-funded WA Museum Bullabardip Perth Cultural Centre. Mr. Coles has been at the helm of the Western Australian Museum for 11 years, leading it through some exceptional times, including the opening of the stunning new WA Museum Bullabardip. Since its opening in November last year, more than 460,000 people have visited the new location. The unique in its focus on what it means to be Western Australian, sharing in the stories of our people, the places, the experience, examining WA's relationship with the rest of the world. Bullabardip means many stories in the Noongar language. It acknowledges that the museum sits on Wadjak Noongar land. Wahadjak. Yeah, in case you don't know, I don't speak any Aboriginal. Wadjak Noongar land and celebrates the shared cultural heritage of the 2.65 million people who call Western Australia home. The WA Museum, Bullabardip, is one of the 7 public museums that sit under the Western Australian banner. The Western Australian government has providing free general admission to Bullabardip for at least the first 18 months of operation. Children under the age of 15 will always be provided free general admissions. That's not something that the CEO has done. That's the government. So how does this warrant him getting the Arts and Culture Person of the Year? I sincerely congratulate. So this is from Minister David Templeton. I sincerely congratulate Alex Cole for his outstanding achievements in delivering such an exciting, engaging, inspiring museum to the people of Western Australia. Nationally and internationally, the WA Museum Bullabardip will play a very significant role in positioning Perth as a centre for cultural excellence and West Australia as a destination for cultural tourism. The enormous benefits of Alex's contribution to culture, science, and the arts will be enjoyed by generations to come. It's just nothing. Okay. There's so many other people out there who I feel deserve so much more recognition. So, prime example, there's a whole heap of native sites up north where people they volunteer their times. They're not getting paid. I guarantee this guy is probably on 6-figure, potentially 7, to spend government money to make a building look pretty. Where there's people actually out there on the streets volunteering. One of the other press releases, there was a person who was going around to all the Aboriginal sites, and he'd been volunteering at all the different sites for in excess of 25 years. People like that, I think, have a lot greater contribution to the arts and culture than what this guy has. He's getting paid to do what he's doing. The person of the year should be someone who goes up above and beyond the job to do, or her job, to get recognition, to help advance whichever industry they're in. So the arts, the culture, whatever. So I'd love to know how much this guy's donated to the Labor Party. That's my one and only question. OBE as well. So he might be a great person. Don't know, but all they've said is that he enjoys spending the government money, and the government's like, "Hey, let's make you Australian Arts Person of the Year." So yeah, just fluff infomercial for the museum. The numbers are probably down, so he reached out to him and said, "Hey, we need some more people to go to the museum. Do a press release for us. Some free advertising." Woo! Okay, so what's that? 3 out of 3 for Labor, or was that 2 out of 3? I lost count. Anyway, let's say it was 2 out of 2. It is now 3 out of 3. Good old Rita Saffioti, MLA Minister for Transport. Okay, let's prepare. Perth's biggest public transport shutdown is coming. All right, here we go. Key MetroNet milestone on Thornley Coburn Link construction means closures to Mandurah train line from late December. Okay, so if you live in Mandurah, you want to get to Perth, like a lot of people commute to Perth. Yeah, suck it, you don't be on the bus. Line to be closed between Auburn Grove, I used to live down there, it's a very nice area, and Elizabeth Quay Station for up to 25 days. Reduced train services to run between Mandurah and Auburn Grove Station. I wonder if they're actually finally opening the Auburn Grove Station. Prepared now, preparation now underway with commuters urged to have their say on disruptions. I can tell you now, commuters are going to say, no, don't do it. We need this to get to work. Da 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 da. You don't need a crap load of buses because every single time during peak hour that you go to one of these trains, it's shoulder to shoulder. Public awareness campaign will be rolled out in the lead up to the disruption period. Oh, coffee, love it. All right, work is underway, starting preparing commuters for the temporary partial closure to the Mandurah line for up to 25 days in late December due to major constructions on the Metronet Thornley Coburn link. This will be the biggest ever shutdown of Perth's public transport network, with the Mandurah line to close completely between Auburn Grove Station and Elizabeth Quay Station. Services will run at a reduced capacity between Mandurah Station and Auburn Grove Station. This is a really good example why we need more east-west train stations. So if people would get on at Mandurah, catch a train to, say, Armidale, and then catch the Armidale line into Perth, this wouldn't be such a problem. You just have to give yourself 10 minutes extra. But the good old transport ministers, and not just Labor guys, the Liberals as well, have failed to understand that Perth is growing outwards as well as north and south. So they need to be looking at cross-state transport links. So Mandurah to Armidale, Ellenbrook to Joondalup, things like that are really, really needed because the major hubs need to be. Well, it really should look like a spider web with the main lines going out that way, whatever, but then also sideways as well. So yeah, just poor planning. Something I've noticed the government's very, very good at is from tomorrow, June 7th, the Public Transport Authority will begin surveying commuters at stations along the Mandurah line, including the Perth Underground, to help understand potential impacts of the closures, how to best target the bus replacement capacity, and how to best communicate with blockade travel options with passengers. Probably for people from, so even if you caught a bus from Mandurah, it would still, it'd take you like 40 minutes to get to Dale to get onto the, so you're still better off going straight through on the bus. Don't know how that's going to work. You might need to, yeah, even if you shut down one of the lanes and turn lanes on the freeway into a bus lane quicker, it's still going to take forever. Yeah, good luck over those 25 days. From tomorrow, 7th June, done that one. Other travel options will be considered, including encouraging commuters to travel along the Armidale line and fast replacement bus services. This will be undertaken alongside engagements with key stakeholders. So when they say stakeholders, they're talking about the people who are giving actual the ones that actually create the transport links. Work has also been undertaken by the Public Transport Authority to arrange replacement buses services for affected commuters and special services for key workers, including at Fiona Stanley Hospital. More information about replacement services and the timings will be made available closer to the shutdown. There's going to be so many cars on the road during this money. Commuters can have their say by visiting, and there's a website for you. Major works will be undertaken on the Thornley Coburn link, from where the Thornley line enters the Kwinana Freeway through the Glen Iris Tunnel down to Coburn Central Station. A number of options to deliver the required works are assessed, and this was considered to be the safest and least disruptive. So a 25-day shutdown is least disruptive. Awesome. To limit the disruption time, actually, here's a thought. To limit the disruption time, I wonder if there's going to be a sudden COVID outbreak where everyone has to be ducked down during the time period. And for the people listening, here's an idea for you. If you do commute Mandurah all the way up to Perth or Rockingham or any of those areas, Just go, I'm scared of COVID, so I want to work from home during this time period. So that might be a good way for you to escape the chaos that's going to be. I think it's going to be very interesting to see massive increase in crashes on the freeway during that. Okay, to limit the disruption time, significant supporting works will be delivered outside rail operating hours. The Thornley Coburn link will be Perth's first east-west cross-line connection, and it's about bloody time too. Linking the Mandurah and Armidale lines and making travel through the southern suburbs quicker and more flexible. Town government has 9 Metrolink projects under construction, creating thousands of jobs and providing opportunities for local businesses. So I've never been against Metronet. Metronet will be a very, very crucial bit of infrastructure in the years to come, but there's no reason why you can't do Metronet and finish Route 8. So I've actually lived in Willerton. I know how bad South Street gets. Even if you did put the east-west links at Coburn, you're still going to have massive trucks on High Road, South Street, Rand Road. You need to get the trucks off these roads because a lot of these roads actually go through residential areas. You've got kids on High Road, sorry, not High Road, South Street. It actually goes directly past the school. So how more children haven't been killed on that road is a credit to the truck drivers and the bus drivers on those roads that have been doing a superb job. So anyway, moving on, comments from Rita Safiotti. The shutdown of the Mandurah rail line at the end of the year will be the biggest disruption of the public transport network Perth has seen. We know that this shutdown will be disruptive and inconvenient for many people, and we apologise in advance for this. We want to hear from people about the disruption so we can minimise impacts on their travel. The Perth Transport Authority will be out talking to commuters, and people can also have their say by visiting Building for Tomorrow website. We know this is frustrating, but is also exciting. These works are a key step in constructing the Thornley Coburn link, which will provide southern suburb commuters with new transport options in the future, including a more direct connection to Perth Stadium. Thank you to all the commuters for their patience while we build the infrastructure for tomorrow. Yeah. Again, it's nothing. Poor planning. This is just another example of the government's poor planning. This link, when they put the Armidale line in, they should have been putting this in at the same time. This should have been constructed. That's probably a bit of a liberal, the Barnett government failure. But again, just another information Labor government. So 3 from 3. Was it 3 from 3 or 4 from 3? 3. Yep, 3 from 3. And now we're heading into the 4th one, which will be the last one for today. It is a public holiday, so there's not that many of them. So it'll probably only be like a 30. But this next one is from 2 of our favorite people on the earth. I'd have to say the first one is hands down the person with the most nicknames I've ever heard. Now Gowan. Oh, there's all sorts of them. And also Rita Safiotti, so Transport Minister. McGowan government returns railcar manufacturing to WA. Okay, so this I can probably support. McGowan government, this one actually came out 12 p.m, so about 2 hours ago. McGowan government delivers on a major election commitment to return railcar manufacturing to WA. Construction on Bellevue, Metronet railcar facility now completed and handed to operator Alstom Australia. Alstom? How do you pronounce it? So let's go do a bit of a sneaky look as to who these people are. Here you go. So I just did a very quick search. Let's just bear with me for I get this out. So we want to add catcher. Yeah, that's the one I wanted. All right, let's drag you down. Okay, so let's bring this over. So straight away we can see alstom.com. Alstom SA is a French multinational rolling stock manufacturing operation worldwide. Here we go. So the company, you're not returning manufacturing to Australia, you're giving it to a French multinational company, which is listed on the stock market. The headquarters is based in France. 75,000 employees. So this is a huge, huge, huge multinational company. This is not in any way whatsoever an Australian company. We're not returning manufacturing to Australia. All you've done is you've given the contract to a multinational company. I am 100% positive that there would be heaps of Australian companies that would be lining up for this contract. This would be worth huge, huge money because it's not just the construction; it's also the maintenance of these things. Yeah, exactly. There's absolutely nothing in the Western Australian economy. Oh, the only thing I can think of is if the work is done in Australia, they get to tax the absolute shit out of the workers. So the company will be able to write off all their profits, saying that, oh, the Australian company is non-profitable, so therefore we won't pay any income tax or government tax. But the workers are going to get taxed through their nose. But at least they get a job. And, that makes our unemployment figures look good. I hate it when they do this and they try to say, look at us, we're being so great, they're not. 246 Metronet rail cars and 6 new Australian rail cars will be built by more than 200 local workers. Do you have any idea how much money is involved in that? Let's just say the average income of these workers the WA average is 92,000 per year. So 200 times $92,000. We're looking at $18.4 million just in wages alone. So let's say if you're at 90% income, you're probably looking at 40% tax at least. So there's, nearly $8 million in tax revenue straight back to the government. First of 9 Metronet projects now completed, with the program continuing to support thousands of local more jobs. What a crock of shit. You're not supporting local jobs, you're supporting massive multi-million dollar companies. They've got 75,000 employees. Premier Mark McGowan, sellout, and Transport Minister Rita Saffioti today officially opened the Bellevue Metronet railcar facility, marking WA Day with the return to railcar manufacturing to Western Australia. A key McGowan government election commitment. 246 Metronet railcars and 6 new Australian railcars will be built, tested and maintained at the new Bellevue facility. Yeah, see, the maintenance as well is going to. So it's not just the initial construction costs, but it's also all the maintenance money as well. How much are these guys going to charge the WA government for the maintenance on these things? More than 200 long-term jobs and hundreds of indirect jobs are anticipated to be created at the facility, which has been manufactured using 8,500 tons of locally fabricated steel. Okay, so who's fabricating the steel? By having the new rail cars built in Bellevue, the McGowan government is returning rail manufacturing to the Midland area for the first time since 1994, when the Midland Railway workshops were closed by the Liberal government. Oh, we had to have a stab at the Liberal Party for this one. At least 50% of the contract value will be delivered locally. So at least 50%. In line with the McGowan government's commitment to use local content. That's not local content. That's only partial local content. With the facility now handed over to operator Alstom, the first of the McGowan government's 9 current Metronet project is now complete. A number of local suppliers have been awarded contracts on the project supporting local jobs. Australian company McConnell, which will establish a dedicated facility in WA to manufacture railcar passenger seats. Okay, this company. So I wonder how many of these companies actually going to be genuine WA companies. All right, so I have just popped open another page here. I run dual screens, so just bear with me for a moment. So, yeah. Good. There we go. So I'm just moving this around so we can see what's. There we go. Okay, so the first one, Cornells. So looking at this, they're a company. Let's go to their website. Let's go about us. Let's have a look at the company. The special line fabrication. Was a major supplier of Mack Trucks Australia. Built in the army. Further expansion. It doesn't actually say who owns them. Let's try. Who owns Cornell? Okay, looks like they are owned by Aving Limited. Johannesburg Stock Exchange, South Africa. Interesting. So, one down. Non-Australian company. So much for supporting West Australian businesses. Okay, we got Harrison. Let's take that funny thing out. Second company, a Western Australian company which fabricates facilities with fabrication facility in Forestfield to provide cab structures, battery boxes, and fuel tanks. Okay, so Facebook, menu, about us. .com. Founded in Perth, Western Australia. Environmental engineering. I actually think these guys might actually be an Australian-based company. If you look down here, their web designer is Perth-based, or their contact details and everything based. Can't read that one, but that's okay. I actually think these guys might actually be a Western Australian-based company, which is kind of cool. So well done. Congratulations on the contract. So that might actually give something to the West Australian people. All right, let's have a look here. Okay, so the next one, Norbrams will supply air conditioning and air supply equipment and brakes from its WA premise. Based in Munich. World's leading manufacturer for brake systems. So again, they are another international company. Prytech will be supplying the installation and the floors. So let's find out where Prytech is from. Pryotech. I've heard of them before. I think they are actually Installation of the floors will probably be this one. Roofing floors. Here we go. We want. About us. Established in Australia in 1972. There you go. Awesome. Spokane, WA, America, mate. Tritech. Awesome. So so far we've only got one company out of all of these, which are actually Australian. This is why I love having other people in chats with us, because it's faster than I can most of the time. So apparently we're bringing Osprey will be supplying the antigraphs for the Kewdale facilities. So it is an Australian company, Osbrek, but they're not West Australian. So I don't mind that too much. Only 30 employers, so well done getting the contract. That's not a bad effort for a small company. I've heard Hoffman Engineering isn't Australian, but I'll see. We'll be delivering the boogie frames for the existing WA premise. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what a boogie is. Specialist Engineering Services Australian industry leading quality assurance accredited by Lloyd's. Plans are totally culture. Vector is Australian as well. Galbardi, that sounds a WA Indigenous company which supplies furniture for the facilities. So it looks like based in Canterville, which provides jigs and Parker Huffin. Check this one. And Alan, do you mind checking out Camco for us? Just to make this video a little bit quicker. It looks like Hoffman might be Australian as well. Have a quick look at Hoffman. Hoffman, China. Okay, that just says everything. Like, yeah, sorry. I'm gonna take Hoffman off the list. Okay, engine. Let's see. So all the piping side of things we want to ask. New Zealand. As operation in Australia in 1963 after Michael Huffington. Camco. Yeah, I've heard Camco in other countries, but I'm not sure if they're actually Australian. I think they started in Africa, came across to Australia. So whether they're two totally separate, different businesses or not, I'm not sure. So Parker Huffington is an Australian New Zealand company. So about 50% of these businesses are actually look to be actual Australian. I do not think that's enough. I think that's a bit of a cop out, to be honest. Back into position. There we go. And also, by the way, thanks for doing that for us, Alan. Legend. Oh, there's more. We'll provide metallic components, so unique metal Delna components from WA suppliers and assembling the couplings, and engineering from Welshpool. Here you go. This is how much it's going to cost. So about 50% of the companies are Australian or Western Australian. So the contract to Alstom is $1.25 billion. Is the biggest order of rail cars in West Australian history and came $347 million under budget. Work on the new trains will commence later this year, with the first locally made train anticipated to roll out on the tracks in late 2022. Today is WA's Day, a celebration of everything we love with our great state. So let's sell it out to international companies. So it is timely that today we return railcar manufacturing to Western Australia. We also said that our Metronet trains would be built in WA by local WA workers. They didn't say WA companies. We have delivered on that promise. And this is one of the reasons why you can never trust a politician. They're just scumbags. Like, with the opening of the Bellevue Metronet railcar facility, we have returned manufacturing to its home in Midland after the original Midland Rail Workshop was closed by the Liberal government in 1994. So obviously we had to have a crack at Liberals in this one. This milestone marks the completion of the first of my government's 9 current Metronet projects and are continuing to create thousands of jobs for Western Australians. Yeah, but the dude's still a dick. Delna is from Sweden. There you go. So it's probably less than 50%. I just, it just seems that every single time the guy turns around, and I'm talking about McGowan here, every time he seems to do a press release or anything like that, he's just trying to twist and bend words as much as possible to make himself look squeaky clean. And when you actually stop and actually have a look and when you break down what he's actually said, so he's saying that this was the Labor government's promise and that they are the ones returning manufacturing to WA, not the Liberal Party. They were the ones that closed it, but they're not really bringing it back to WA. So there are WA workers that are being employed, but the companies that are employing these people are all multinationals. Most of them are huge companies. So a vast majority of this, what is it, $1.25 billion that's been assigned to this guy, won't stay in Australia. This is not going to help our economy in any way whatsoever. This is going to help all the multinational companies. So I'm not. Yeah. So LinkedIn does tell you a lot of stuff. I've got a LinkedIn account for Carter's Corner, the radio show. I just don't use it. I just find LinkedIn frustrating to use. I find it problematic. But I have to say, the LinkedIn community, when Channel 7 did that hit piece on me, the LinkedIn community, the amount of support I had from those guys was absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to say thank you to all the LinkedIn community who supported Carter's Corner. Great work. Okay, so Transport Minister Rita Saffioti. I remember discussing returning railcar manufacturing to WA when we were in opposition. I am so proud to stand here as the Minister for Transport and open our new Bellevue Metronet rail facility. So if you were talking about this when you were in opposition, why wasn't this done 4 years ago? Over the next 10 years, 246 Metronet C-Series railcars and 6 Australian diesel railcars will be built right here by local workers. Oh, I wonder how the Greenies are going to react to this. The 6 diesel railcars. Oh, the carbon emissions. Electric. That probably fits a few people. Our decision to bring back railcar manufacturing to WA will create hundreds of ongoing WA jobs and secure a reliable supply chain of parts and equipment. Over 50% of the content will be sourced locally, including the seats and battery boxes supporting local WA businesses. More than 200 local workers will be employed in this facility, which will also create traineeships and apprenticeships. So I am happy the workers are here. We need more training, we need more manufacturing in WA, but it's got to be by WA companies. The whole reason a lot of these companies are probably not based in WA is because between Labor and Liberals, they've had a concerted effort to destroy manufacturing in Australia. Therefore, we don't have any Australian-based companies that are able to be financially viable due to the amount of red tape, green tape, and all that other bullshit that they've got to go through. They can't make a business profitable. That's why everything's overseas. So in summary, Australia as a whole needs to drop the Lima Protocol, which meant originally it was 30% of all our manufacturing was supposed to go to third world countries like China and India. That needs to stop. We need the manufacturing back in WA. One of the only reasons the Australian especially in WA, our economy went up during COVID instead of down is because really 100% supported by the mining industry. We're sending all our resources, which is finite. It will run out. Once that's gone, we've got nothing. We are a third world country. Our whole economy is dependent on mining and tourism, and you've totally sorry, I nearly dropped the F bomb there. You've totally destroyed the tourism industry with these stupid border lockdowns. How much longer can the mining industry survive for? What, 200 years? What happens then? They haven't got an answer for that. So we need to bring manufacturing back. Things that we really, really need to start focusing on is things like recycling scrap metal, because our iron ore resources are finite. It will run out. We need to find a way to capture waste and bring it back and recreate something out of it, reuse it. Because the more you can use something that's reusable, the more, and someone internationally is buying it, the more income you bring it back into the country that actually using your finite resources. That's why things like farming and exporting our wool industry, things like that was such a great boon for Australia, because as long as you've got sheep, you've got wool. You just keep feeding the sheep, you keep feeding the animals, you keep growing your crops. It is an infinite resource. And if you're going to continue to deplete our finite resources, which will run out, you're going to destroy our economy. You need to start focusing back on renewable economies. And I'm not talking about renewable, like, green crap and all that sort of stuff. We need to be putting a real boost into our farming industries. We really need to put a big boost into our timber industries, and so blue gums, pines, things like that. We really need to find a boost into our reusing, like the scrap metal industry, taking scrap metal and turning it back into pure steel and whatever you can use it for, because a lot of the metal in that is still good, and if you reforge it, it can become stronger and better. So things like that we need to really have a focus on. If you keep focusing purely on mining, you're going to destroy the economy. Not probably not in my lifetime, but you got to start looking in my kids' lifetime, in my grandkids' lifetimes, in their lifetime, because Australia hopefully will be still around in 2, 3, 400 years. Okay, now we've got a comment from the Midland MLA, Michelle Roberts. It was a sad day for Midland when the Liberal government closed down the Midland Railway Workshop. The McGowan government commitment to return manufacturing to its home in Midland, and today we deliver on that promise. This is a great day for Midland, and I can't wait to see the locally made trains rolling through our community again. So, question for you: where's all the shoe manufacturers? Where's all the clothing shops? Where's any other form of manufacturing within Australia? Where's all our car industries? Like, it wasn't just the Liberal government that destroyed everything. It was a Liberal Labor government for the last 20, 30 years that destroyed all our manufacturing in Australia. So don't come here saying that was the Liberal government that destroyed the manufacturing in WA, because it wasn't. It was both years. Bad as each other. You're both failures. So anyway, that is actually the last press release for today. So again, we had five or four. We had 4 press releases today. Another 4 press releases. Absolutely everything was Labor. Now you remember, this is Parliament House that are doing the press releases. This is not Labor Party, Liberal Party. I don't know why, but it seems that it's always the same 5 people or 6 people from the Labor Party press releases out. Nothing, and I'm serious, absolutely nothing comes through from the Liberal Party on these, or the Nationals, who are actually the opposition in WA. The other thing that I want to bring to people's attention is media contact list. So whenever there is a press release that is linked with Liberals, like the Liberal federal government, the Liberal government media contact details always seem to be missing. A couple of press releases from Christian Porter and Andrew Hastie. Even the comments from Hastie and Christian Porter were missing off the press releases. So I find it a little bit curious why the Premier and Cabinet is intentionally leaving. So yeah, so anyway, if you are in the Liberal Party or you have connections with the Liberal Party, please get me onto their press release. I've asked multiple times to get on there. But anyway, so that has been the last press release for today. I hope the people listening in had a bit of fun with it. enjoyed it. Enjoyed having the comments coming through. We got quite a few listeners in. So again, make sure you check the comments in. They do pop up. I do answer them in real time. This has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. So this is Travis Carter for Carter's Corner Daily, and today is the 7th. So see you guys tomorrow at 1:30. Have a great day.